For 10 years, the classic TV show Happy Days was a huge hit with its mix of rock and roll music and 1950s American nostalgia. Now, who could forget characters like Richie Cunningham, Ralph Malph, and of course, the Fonz?
If you're a huge fan of one of the most hilarious sitcoms ever created, such as the Happy Days, you definitely once got curious about some scenes that did not make it. For a TV show that was loved by millions, were there episodes left unpublished and hidden from the fans? Happy Days sadly had to end. Some casts had to leave. Do these had something to do with deleted scenes no one was supposed to see? Let's find out. If you're a fan of Happy Days, you might have wondered if there were any deleted scenes or lost footage from the show. The answer is yes. Over the years, several scenes were cut before airing. And while most of them never made it to TV, some have surfaced through DVD releases, documentaries, and fan discussions. One of the most interesting types of deleted scenes involved Fonzie's stunts. Everyone remembers the coolest guy in Milwaukee pulling off wild tricks on his motorcycle. But did you know there were extra takes and unused footage from these stunts? Some jumps and action sequences were filmed but never aired, either because they didn't quite work out or simply didn't fit in the final cut. Another common reason for deleted scenes was alternative storylines. Over the years, the show experimented with different plot directions, and some subplots were ultimately removed to keep the episodes tight and focused. This was especially true in later seasons, when the show leaned more toward comedy and less on the coming-of-age drama it started with. When key characters left the show, such as Richie, Ron Howard, and Ralph, Donnie Most, there were also some cut or reworked scenes. This one was extremely saddening, especially for fans. Why did they have to leave? Their departure had to be handled carefully, and sometimes certain moments were trimmed to make the transition smoother. Fonzie's character also had a few deleted moments, especially in early episodes when his role was still being developed, and he didn't have as many lines. Aside from deleted scenes, there were also bloopers and unused takes that never made it into the final episodes. Some of these have been shown in behind-the-scenes specials or retrospectives, giving fans a rare look at the fun moments that happened off-camera. While most of these deleted scenes are hard to find, some clips have been released on DVDs or shared by fans online. If you're curious, it might be worth checking out special features on Happy Days box sets, or looking up interviews where the cast and crew talk about lost moments from the show. Who knows? You might just find a hidden gem from your favorite nostalgic sitcom. The sitcom everyone loved. When people think of classic American sitcoms, Happy Days is often one of the first shows that comes to mind. Airing from 1974 to 1984, this beloved series captured the heart of an entire generation with its nostalgic look at 50s and 60s life, lovable characters, and feel-good stories. It wasn't just a show. It was a cultural phenomenon that introduced us to some of the most memorable TV characters of all time. So, why did people love the show, and still do? At its core, Happy Days was all about family, friendship, and growing up, 3D memes that never go out of style. The show revolved around Richie Cunningham and his experiences as a teenager in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. But it also focused on the people around him, his family, his best friends, and, of course, the coolest guy in town, Arthur Fonzie Fonzarelli. The show had a warm, nostalgic feel that made audiences feel right at home. It took people back to a simpler time when life seemed less complicated, with classic cars, jukeboxes, and malt shops setting the scene. But more than just nostalgia, Happy Days had a strong sense of heart. Every episode carried a lesson, whether it was about standing up for yourself, valuing your friendships, or making the right choices in life. And let's not forget the humor. Whether it was Richie's awkward moments, Fonzie's effortless coolness, or the lighthearted family dynamics, there was always something to make you smile. The iconic cast that made it all work. A huge reason for Happy Days' success was its cast. Each actor brought something special to the show, making the characters feel like real people. Ron Howard as Richie Cunningham. The heart of the show, Richie was the all-American teenager, smart, kind, and always trying to do the right thing. Ron Howard, already a well-known child actor from The Andy Griffith Show, gave Richie a likability that made audiences root for him. Henry Winkler as Fonzie. What would Happy Days be without the Fonz? With his leather jacket, slicked back hair, and signature "Aye!", Fonzie became the breakout star of the series. Originally meant to be a minor character, he quickly became the show's main attraction, thanks to Henry Winkler's effortless charm. Despite his tough guy image, Fonzie had a heart of gold, which made him even more lovable. Tom Bosley and Marion Ross as Howard and Marion Cunningham. As Richie's parents, they provided the warmth and wisdom that kept the show grounded. Howard, the hard-working dad, and Marion, the ever-loving mother, represented the ideal American family of the time. Anson Williams as Patsy Weber, and Donnie Most as Ralph Malph. Richie's best friends, these two added plenty of humor to the show. Patsy was the innocent, sometimes clueless friend, while Ralph was the jokester with a sharp wit. Erin Moran as Joni Cunningham. Richie's younger sister Joni went from the annoying little sibling to a key character with her own storylines. She eventually starred in the spin-off Joni Loves Chachi with Scott Baio, who played Chachi Arcola, Fonzie's cousin and Joni's love interest. Even though Happy Days ended in 1984, it has never really gone away. Want proof? Reruns, streaming services, and pop culture references keep the show alive for new generations. It was more than just a sitcom. It was a reflection of American culture, family values, and the power of friendship. And with characters as unforgettable as Fonzie, Richie, and the rest of the gang, it's no surprise that Happy Days continues to bring smiles to audiences decades later. So, whether you watched it when it first aired or discovered it years later, Happy Days remains a timeless favorite, because no matter the era, everyone loves a good story about friends, family, and finding your way in the world. The end of the Happy Days. Like all good things, the show eventually had to end. So, what led to the conclusion of this iconic series? Why did it have to end like the other great sitcoms out there? Truth be told, there is that natural decline of a long-running show. When Happy Days first started, it captured the hearts of viewers with its nostalgic look at the 50s and 60s, relatable coming-of-age stories, and unforgettable characters. However, as the years passed, things started to change. By the late 70s and early 80s, television was evolving, and audience tastes were shifting. Sitcoms were moving away from the family-friendly, nostalgic tone of Happy Days and leaning toward edgier, more modern themes. At the same time, many of the original cast members had either left or were ready to move on. Ron Howard, Richie Cunningham, who had been the heart of the show, left in 1980 to pursue a career in directing, a decision that worked out pretty well for him, considering he went on to become an Oscar-winning filmmaker. His departure, along with Donnie Most, Ralph Malph, and Anson Williams, Patsy Weber, taking on smaller roles, changed the dynamic of the series. While Henry Winkler, Fonzie, remained a central figure, the show started introducing new characters like Chachi, Scott Baio, and Jenny Piccolo, Kathy Silvers, to fill the gaps. But it just wasn't the same. One of the most infamous turning points in Happy Days history was when the show literally jumped the shark. a phrase that actually originated from the series. In a 1977 episode, Fonzie jumps over a shark on water skis, wearing his signature leather jacket. While it was meant to be a dramatic and fun moment, many fans and critics see it as the moment the show started losing its magic. Even though Happy Days continued for several more years after that, the phrase "jumping the shark" has since become a term for when a show takes things too far in an attempt to stay fresh. By the early 80s, the ratings for Happy Days had started to decline. While the show still had a loyal fan base, it was no longer the powerhouse it once was. Newer shows like The Cosby Show, Family Ties, and Cheers were gaining popularity, and audiences were looking for something different. The charm of Happy Days was still there, but after 10 seasons, it was clear that the show was reaching the end of its run. So, a bittersweet but proper goodbye. By 1984, the creators and cast knew it was time to say goodbye. The final season focused on wrapping up storylines, including Fonzie adopting a son and Joni and Chachi getting married. The series finale, titled Passages, aired on May 8, 1984, and gave fans a heartfelt farewell, complete with a touching moment where Howard Cunningham, Tom Bosley, raised a glass and thanked everyone for being part of their family. Even though Happy Days ended, its impact never faded. The show inspired spin-offs like Laverne and Shirley, Mork and Mindy, and Joni Loves Chachi. It also became a cultural reference point, with Fonzie remaining one of the most recognizable TV characters of all time. The phrase, "jumping the shark," may have started as a joke, but Happy Days itself has never truly faded from pop culture. Reruns, streaming services, and nostalgic fans keep it alive for new generations to discover. Did Ron Howard succeed after Happy Days? Absolutely. When Ron Howard left Happy Days in 1980, some people might have wondered if he was making the right choice. After all, he was one of the stars of one of the most popular TV shows of the time. But Howard had bigger dreams. He wanted to be a director. Looking back now, there's no doubt that he made the right move, because he didn't just succeed after Happy Days. He became one of the most successful and respected filmmakers in Hollywood. Before Happy Days, Howard was already a familiar face to TV audiences. He had played Opie Taylor on The Andy Griffith Show as a child, and later took on the role of Richie Cunningham, the lovable all-American teen on Happy Days. But even while acting, Howard was developing an interest in directing. After leaving Happy Days, he didn't waste any time. He started directing low-budget films like Grand Theft Auto, 1977, which he made while still on the show. But his big breakthrough as a filmmaker came with Splash, 1984, a romantic comedy starring Tom Hanks and Daryl Hannah. The movie was a huge hit and proved that Howard had the talent to be a successful director. Howard quickly built a reputation for making box office hits and critically acclaimed films. Some of his biggest movies include Apollo 13 in 1995, a gripping space drama starring Tom Hanks. This film was a massive success and featured the famous line, "Houston, we have a problem." It earned Howard an Academy Award nomination. Also, A Beautiful Mind in 2001. This emotional biopic about mathematician John Nash won 4 Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Best Director for Howard. And then there's The Da Vinci Code in 2006, and its sequels, based on the best-selling books by Dan Brown. These films, starring Tom Hanks, were global blockbusters. Finally, Solo, a Star Wars story, in 2018. Howard even got to direct in the Star Wars universe when he was brought in to complete the Han Solo origin film. Howard also became a successful producer. He co-founded Imagine Entertainment, a production company responsible for hit movies and TV shows. including Arrested Development, Friday Night Lights, and 24. Even though he left acting behind, he still makes appearances from time to time, often as a narrator or in cameos. He even voiced the narrator for Arrested Development, a comedy series that became a cult favorite. Ron Howard's career after Happy Days is nothing short of extraordinary. While many actors struggle to transition behind the camera, he made it look easy, becoming one of Hollywood's most respected and accomplished directors. Did Ron Howard succeed after Happy Days? Absolutely. Not only did he succeed, but he also proved that sometimes taking a big risk, like leaving a hit TV show, can lead to an even bigger reward. The Happy Days spin-offs: how one show created a TV universe. When Happy Days premiered in 1974, no one could have predicted just how big it would become. Not only was it a massive hit, but it also launched an entire TV universe, spawning several successful spin-offs. Some became just as popular as the original, while others faded away quickly. Either way, Happy Days left a lasting impact on television, proving that one great show can lead to many more. Laverne and Shirley, the most successful spin-off. This is undebatable. The first and biggest Happy Days spin-off was Laverne and Shirley, which followed Laverne DeFazio, Penny Marshall, and Shirley Feeney, Cindy Williams, two fun-loving best friends who worked at a Milwaukee brewery. They were first introduced on Happy Days as dates for Fonzie and Richie, but they were so entertaining that they got their own show. Laverne and Shirley became a huge hit, sometimes even outranking Happy Days in the ratings. The show had a great mix of comedy, friendship, and quirky catchphrases. Who could forget Laverne's signature Schlemiel, Schlemazel chant? It ran for 8 seasons and remains one of the most beloved sitcoms of the era. Mork and Mindy, the wildest spin-off. Perhaps the strangest and most surprising spin-off was Mork and Mindy, starring a then-unknown Robin Williams as Mork, an alien from the planet Ork. Mork originally appeared on Happy Days in a bizarre dream sequence where he tried to abduct Richie Cunningham. The character was so popular that he got his own show, which paired him with Mindy, Pam Dauber, a down-to-earth woman who helped him adjust to life on Earth. Williams' improvisational genius made Mork and Mindy a breakout success. His wacky catchphrases like "Nanu Nanu" and hilarious antics turned the show into a hit, and it helped launch his legendary career. Though it only lasted 4 seasons, it remains a classic, proving that Happy Days could create spin-offs that went far beyond the world of 50s nostalgia. And then there's Joni Loves Chachi, the spin-off that didn't quite work. With Happy Days nearing its end, producers decided to give Joni Cunningham, Erin Moran, and Chachi Arcola, Scott Baio, their own show. Joni Loves Chachi followed the young couple as they moved to Chicago to start a music career. Despite high hopes and rumors that it was initially a hit because Chachi sounded like a Korean word for something inappropriate, though this was never proven, the show didn't last long. After just 2 seasons, it was canceled, and Joni and Chachi returned to Happy Days for its final episodes. Blansky's Beauties and Out of the Blue, the forgotten spin-offs. How come? Not all Happy Days spin-offs were successful. Blansky's Beauties focused on Nancy Blansky, played by Nancy Walker, a showgirl in Las Vegas who was supposedly related to Howard Cunningham. The show lasted just 1 season before being canceled. Then there was Out of the Blue, a strange spin-off about an angel named Random who helped people with their problems. The connection to Happy Days was so loose that many fans don't even consider it a true spin-off. Unsurprisingly, it didn't last long either. Even though some spin-offs were more successful than others, Happy Days proved that a great show can branch out in many directions. From classic sitcoms like Laverne and Shirley and Mork and Mindy to short-lived experiments like Joni Loves Chachi, the influence of Happy Days extended far beyond Milwaukee. To this day, the Happy Days spin-offs remain an important part of TV history. They gave us unforgettable characters, launched major Hollywood careers, and showed that one great show can inspire many others. And in the end, that's what makes Happy Days and its spin-offs truly timeless. Happy Days in the new generation. Whether Happy Days is worth watching in this modern generation depends on your taste, expectations, and what you value in a TV show. One reason Happy Days is still worth watching is its nostalgic appeal. If you appreciate retro aesthetics, 50s diner culture, leather jackets, jukeboxes, and classic cars, the show immerses you in that world. It also touches on timeless themes like friendship, family, coming-of-age struggles, and personal growth, which remain relatable today. Many modern sitcoms have referenced or been inspired by Happy Days, making it an important part of TV history. Additionally, it offers feel-good, light-hearted entertainment. Unlike today's darker, more complex TV shows, Happy Days is simple and uplifting, making it a great option for those seeking easygoing, family-friendly content. However, Happy Days may not be for everyone. Some jokes, gender roles, and character dynamics may feel outdated or out of touch with modern sensibilities. The show also moves at a slower pace compared to today's sitcoms, with fewer punchlines per minute and a more relaxed storytelling approach. Like many sitcoms of its era, it follows a predictable structure, which may not appeal to those who prefer more complex narratives. If you enjoy classic TV, nostalgic settings, or just want a comforting sitcom, Happy Days can still be an enjoyable watch. Would you be watching it out of curiosity, nostalgia, or for another reason? Don't look for deleted scenes because those ones do not really matter. The show and its story are great in general. For more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.